Hello, everyone. It is 7 o'clock, 7:02 Eastern Standard Time. I am Keisha Natalie Cole, aka K Talking Sense. Today we're talking money sense. Just give a few minutes for some folks to join in, and we will get started. Hoping everybody had a great day today. It is Wednesday, hump day. Hump day is always fabulous. It means we've made it through the week. Great. Great day today. It is Wednesday. Hump day is always fabulous. It means we've made it through the week. Again, my name is Keisha Natalie Cole, aka K Talking Sense, and I'm just here to spend 30 minutes with you to talk a little bit about how money works. We're going to talk about managing money. We're going to be talking about savings. We're going to be talking about a little bit about investing. We're going to be talking about budgeting. And hopefully this will be something that blesses you. And I hope you can take some things away with you that you'll be able to actually use and implement in your own life to help you get on the right track. We'll start in 1 more minute. All right, guys, let's get started. Again, I'm Keisha Natalie Cole, aka K Talking Sense. Today, we're going to be talking money sense. I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about how money works, because a lot of times we go on through life not really understanding the power that we have in terms of our own finances, because one, we're not taught. Two, they don't give classes for it in school that gives you the real deal about how money works. And three, sometimes we just don't take the time to learn. So I'm here today to talk to you about a couple of things. We're going to be talking about how to manage your money when you're single. We're so used to living a certain lifestyle. And then when we get into a relationship, we have to now share that responsibility with someone else. And most times we don't really know how to do that. So we're going to talk today about getting ourselves together while we're single, right? It's called the single truth about money while we're single, so that we are prepared for when we do meet that someone that we will partner with for life. And we're able to partner with them not only spiritually, emotionally, but also financially to have a successful union. All right, so let's just get started, guys. We're going to jump right in. I'm just going to share a couple of slides with you to help us as we go through with this presentation. All right, so the single truth about money. Let's talk about stewardship. This is an empowerment session, and it'll help you get on the road to financial freedom. Scripture says, so if you have not been trustworthy in handling worldly wealth, who will trust you with true riches? Let's be honest, guys. You ever go to the store and you're buying a lottery ticket, and in your mind you're like, Lord, please bless me so that I can win. I promise I'm going to to tithe my 10%. If you just let me hit this lottery one good time, or you're watching the news and somebody hits it and you're wishing, man, that could be me. Well, honestly, if you honestly look at yourself, if you're honest with yourself, are you faithful over the little that God has given you so far? How can he trust you with bigger riches if he can't even trust you with the little? I know sometimes we feel like we may not have enough or we need more. And we're wondering, well, why hasn't God blessed us with wealth? And that's really because we can't handle it. We don't know how to handle it. So hopefully by the end of this session, we'll have a little bit better understanding of how to manage our money so that God can bless us with those riches, because he said that he wants us to have life more abundantly. And we're talking about today, not when we get to heaven. When we get to heaven, that's like the icing on the cake. So let's talk about a couple of financial challenges that we've got going on today. 78% of full-time workers live paycheck to paycheck. And really, if you're honest, it's barely paycheck to paycheck, right? More than half of Americans have less than $1,000 in savings. What does that even mean? That means now they're using credit cards to pay for everything. And that's why U.S. households with debt carry an average credit card balance of almost $16,000. They just don't make enough money. And because of that, they don't have any savings. So they have to rely on credit cards to make it work. Nearly half of U.S. households, that's 48% of U.S. households, don't have enough life insurance. Nowadays, all you see are GoFundMe accounts. Back in the day, it used to be passing the hat, right? Calling family members. Hey guys, we got to put all our money together to make sure we can bury our loved ones. Now it's putting out there into the universe via these GoFundMe accounts for life insurance. More than half of all workers have less than $25,000 in savings and investments for retirement. What does that mean? That means that when they get to retirement age, they cannot fully retire. You ever go to Walmart or Target and you see the older people working in there? Maybe they're at the door welcoming you in, welcome to Walmart, or maybe they're stocking the shelves. They're not there because they want to be. They're there because they have to be. Social Security isn't doing it. Their 401k isn't doing it. Their pension isn't doing it. They have no other choice. Just the other day, I was talking to a client of mine, and she was telling me how she wanted to travel more, and be able to do things with her grandkids. But she wasn't sure she could do that. And that's because she didn't have the right vehicles in place so that her retirement can reflect the kind of lifestyle that she wanted to live. These are some of the things that's happening in the world today, guys. You looking at your piggy bank like, I know I just got paid. It's Friday night. But yet there's no money left. You see those memes where they're like, you see the paycheck and it's chasing the bills, or the bills are chasing the paycheck. It's times are rough. But what are you doing with your money? Let's ask that question. What are you doing with your money? I always like to talk about the parable of the talents, because it kind of puts things into perspective in terms of us and what we're supposed to do as good stewards with things that God has given us. So the parable of the talents, real quickly, it talks about a master who gave his servants money, 3 of them. The first servant, he gave 5 talents. The second servant, he gave 2 talents. And the third servant, he gave 1. And then he left and he went along his way on his journey. Then when he came back from his journey, he asked each servant to come before him and tell him what's going on with his money. Servant 1 took the 5 talents and doubled it. He was ecstatic. That's awesome, amazing, great, you doubled my money. Servant number 2, he also got some more money on top of that, so he was happy. But servant number 3 took that talent and buried it until he came back, so that when he came back, he gave it to him. So he didn't gain any money, nor did he lose money. He had exactly what was given to him. And the master was upset. He was upset because he felt like, if you were too afraid to do something with what I gave you, the least you could have done was put it in the bank, where you would have gotten at least what is the banks giving us these days? 0.0001%. At least I would have gotten a penny on top of the talent that I gave you. But he hid it in the dirt instead. Hey guys, listen, the truth of the matter is scared money does not make money. And we cannot be afraid to utilize what God has given us in order to get more. All right, what can we do about that? Well, here are a couple of things we're going to be talking about throughout this session. We could take control. Number one, pay yourself first, and we'll talk more about that when I talk about savings. Two, you've got to adjust your priorities. Where are your priorities? Three, you have to change your thinking. Stop thinking you can't do it because what you see in front of you. Start thinking you can. Adjust your lifestyle. Maybe there are things that you used to do that you need to stop doing for a moment just to make sure you get in the position that you want to be in. Earn additional income if that's necessary. Definitely avoid the credit trap, and you want to make sure you set goals and have a plan. You know that prayer, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference? Well, here's the difference. These are things you cannot control. The future of Social Security, your employer, taxes, inflation, rising costs, the risk of a single investment. You can't control those things. But here's what you can control. You can control saving for retirement, other sources of income, ways to reduce your taxes, maximizing your savings, saving more, and you can definitely control the diversity of your income, of your investment choices. Here are 3 accounts that you need in order to develop a solid financial game plan. In order to have a complete savings program, you need 3 types of basic accounts. 1, an emergency fund. 2, short-term savings. 3, long-term savings or investments. These are the 3 accounts that you need if you're going to be successful in getting your financial game plan together. An emergency account, the goal of this account is to provide up to 3 months of income for emergencies and purchases to be made within 2 years, right? So let's say, for example, your car breaks down, or maybe there's a part of the house that needs to be remodeled, or some unexpected medical expenses. That's what an emergency account is for. It's to cover the needs that require easy access to funds. Now, the short-term account, the goal is to provide up to 6 months of income for unforeseen events like a job loss or disability, or maybe it could be for purchases that you need to make within the next 3 to 5 years, like you want to buy a car, or maybe you want to put a down payment on a house. I don't know, maybe you're like me and you want to buy a yacht, right? That's what a short-term account is for. It's to save towards a particular goal. And then the third account is the wealth building account. The goal of this account is to save for retirement using tax-advantaged accounts like a Roth IRA or a traditional IRA, like your 401k at work or deferred compensation, or a TSA or tax-deferred accounts. That's the wealth building account because it's an account that you're able to put into for a long period of time in order to capitalize on interest. Okay, and we'll touch on that a little bit more as we go further. Here's the thing with savings, okay? You have to learn to pay yourself first. And what does that mean? Well, consider yourself a bill, okay? My name is Keisha. I have the Keisha bill. That means every month I pay myself 10% into my savings account, so that I have my emergency savings, and so that I have my short-term savings fund towards my yacht. Every month without fail, I pay it like I'm gonna be a bill collector to myself. So I make sure I have some money saved. Why do you have to pay yourself first before anything else? Of course, after you tithe, but before anything else, why do you have to pay yourself first? Because after you paid all your bills, there's no money left for you, and then you cannot save. So you have to work it out so that you're able to pay yourself first and develop that habit of saving, and you'll start to see your savings account grow. If you don't pay yourself first, there's a high cost of waiting. And what do I mean by that? Okay, well, let's look at this example here. Let's say you've put away $200 a month at a nice little rate of 9% for 40 years, okay? Forget about how old you are right now. Right now, everybody is 25 years old, okay? And we start doing $200 a month. By the time we hit retirement age, 40 years later, we're about what, 65? We'll almost have $100,000 in that account. Now let's say our 30th birthday rolls around, we out partying, having a good time, and then we realize, you know what, I'm getting older. I need to really buckle down and start saving. Now you decide you're going to put away $200 a month for 40 years. Back to retirement age, you'll have about $592,000. Why is it a high cost of waiting? Because you have missed out on almost $400,000 that you could have had you started saving at 25. Now you're 40 years old and you're ready to get started. You're like, you know, I really can't put this off any longer. By the time you hit retirement age, you got about $225,000. You missed out on over $700,000 of income because you waited so long. So don't wait any longer. Doesn't matter how old you are. Start now. Who are the people that you're hurting if you wait? You're hurting yourself and you're hurting your family. So don't wait, guys. Start saving now. Pay yourself first. If your payday is on Friday, make sure you take some money out and put that in your savings account. Here's another thing. I want to teach you how to become an owner and not a loaner. And what do I mean by that? Well, we have the traditional financial institutions. We've got banks, credit unions. We've got some of the whole life insurance companies. They give you historically low rates of return. How does that work? You take your money, you give it to one of these banks or these credit unions or these insurance companies, and you want them to invest this money for you. They take the money, they invest it in the global economy at a high rate of return, and then they give you a low rate of return. Let me ask you this question. How many of you have heard of the rule of 72? Sometimes called the banker's rule. Let me explain to you what that means. With the rule of 72, you divide your interest rate that you get from the bank or wherever institution it is that you're using, and you divide it into 72 to find the approximate number of years it takes for your money to double. So we know that the savings accounts today don't really give us much of anything, right? Capital One, they have this online account that gives you 1%. So let's say we went to Capital One and we took that 1%. Well, that 1 divided into 72 is going to give you what? 72, right? That means it's going to take your money 72 years to double. That means your money never doubles, ever. Because how many of us have another 72 years to wait for their money to double? I don't know about you, but I sure don't. So here we go. You find an institution. You go to the bank, right? Let's say Bank of America. And Bank of America is willing to give you 3% on the money that you invest with them. You're excited because you're like, 3% is better than 1%. I'm going for it. You sign up. 3% into 72 gives you what? 24 years. That means every 24 years, your money doubles. So 40 years later, you've got about $40,000 in the bank. I don't know about you, but in 40 years, I don't know if $40,000 is going to be able to pay your cell phone bill with the way everything is going. But let's say you found a credit union, and that credit union is going to give you 6%. Now 6 into 72 is 12. Now your money's doubling a little bit quicker. 48 years later, you've got $160,000. I'm not sure how long you'll be able to retire on that if your income is $100,000 a year already. When you retire, you'll be retired for a year and a half. You'll be at Walmart. But let's say you found a vehicle that could give you 12% on your money. That same $10,000, now your money is doubling every 6 years. 12 into 72 is 6. You can see your money growing. By the time you get to 48 years, you will have $2.5 million in your retirement account. This is what the banks, this is what the credit unions, this is what some of those whole life insurance companies do. They take your money, this $10,000 that you gave them, and they invest it in the global economy at 12%. They make 2.5 mil while they give you 3%, 4%, 6%. How do you win a game if you don't know the rules? If you don't know that you could do better, are you going to do better? No. Do the banks and the insurance companies have any incentive to teach us this rule? Absolutely not. And shouldn't we have learned this rule in school? For sure. So guys, listen, there are ways out there for you to grow your money, to build your wealth. There are vehicles that offer 12% and more. You just have to know the right vehicles to put your money in. And I would highly recommend that you talk to a financial specialist when you're considering investing, because they can really point you in the right direction to make sure you're getting the best for your money. Okay? All right, let's talk about budgeting. Guys, it's not a dirty word. It really isn't. Budgeting is a great way to keep track of your spending. And I'm just going to give you 6 simple steps to help you create a budget and free up money for the future, so you're able to do what you need to do, pay yourself first, and also put money aside for retirement. Okay? If you follow these 6 simple steps, I promise you, you'll be on the right track to making sure you get to financial freedom. Why do we create a budget? Well, one, it's to get a grip on your spending. I don't know about you, but if I don't have a list written out when I go shopping, it's a wrap. I will definitely go over budget every time, never fails. So you create a budget to get a grip on your spending, to save for retirement or a special purchase like my yacht, to know exactly where your hard-earned money goes each month, and to avoid the debt trap. Where should your money go? Have you ever even heard about this ideal budget? Well, with an ideal budget, your monthly income should be divided up between 5 main categories of spending. Housing and debt should be about 30%. 25% should be going to taxes. 4% should be going to insurance. 15% goes towards your savings and investments. And then about 26% will cover your living expenses. Now, this is generally for people who can afford to do the 15% in terms of your savings and investments. Sometimes you can afford to do 10%, sometimes 5%, but it really all depends. But the majority of the money should go towards your living expenses, which is 26%, housing and debt, which is 30%, taxes 25%, insurance 4%, and then the 15% to your savings and investments. What you want to do is you want to, step 2, gather the information you need to get started. How much money is coming in, knowing how much money is going out. You need that. Typically, this can be a real eye-opener for most people. I know when I sat down and did my budget the very first time, I was floored at how much money I spent on stupid things. It just didn't make any sense. Like, there was so much money going out the window. But here's how you get started, guys. You gather every financial statement that you have, bank statements, investment accounts, utility bills, whatever. Anywhere you spend money, you need to have written down, and note all of your sources of income. So if you have 1 job or 2 jobs, if you, are getting extra income, like residual income, if you have a business or anything like that, you want to make sure you put all of that in there. Child support, alimony, pension, Social Security, whatever it is, write it all down, because you want to account for everything. Step 4, you want to add it up. Total up your monthly income. Total up your monthly expenses. If the income total is greater than the expense total, then you're already off to a great start. And you can put extra money towards retirement savings or paying down debt sooner. But if the expenses are greater than your income, there's a problem here. It's time to make some changes. That means you're living above your means. And writing everything out on a list will definitely give you a visual of what that looks like. So step 5, you got to make some adjustments. This isn't the pretty part. If your expenses exceed your income, you're definitely going to have to make some expenses, whether that means you go out less, you eat out less, wherever that chunk of expenses is coming from, reduce that. It's worth it in the end. Guys, I haven't paid a cable bill in 14 years. I refuse to pay $200 a month for cable. And it's just crazy how much they're charging you these days. It's just bananas. I refuse to get cable because that's money that I can take and put towards my IRA and into my savings and into my Starbucks expense account. Don't judge me. I love Starbucks. And as long as I'm able to meet everything, I got my Starbucks expense account, okay? All right. So now that you have a list of all your expenses in front of you, you'll need to find those areas that you want to cut back in. Like I said, you want to look at your variable expenses first. That's the easiest way to find cutbacks. You have your fixed expenses where it's the same every month, but then you have the variable expenses where it might fluctuate a little bit, like the utility bills and things like that. So, and eating out, entertainment bills and subscriptions and things like that. So you want to look at all of those and you want to see what makes sense. What can you cut just for a time until you at least are able to start saving up to what you want or need. Guys, listen, keep up the good work. When you've created that budget, make sure you review it monthly because things change and you want to make sure you're staying on track. Then you want to take a few minutes and you want to compare your actual monthly expenses with what you created in your budget. And that will show you the areas in which you did well and in those areas that you might need to improve. You can do it, guys. The path to financial independence, it starts with understanding these few basic concepts and actually implementing them. Winning the financial war, it's the result of winning tiny battles day to day. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. It's the same thing. Small victories every day. Maybe you want to food prep. Instead of eating out every day, bring your lunch to work. Cook dinner. Sundays, take Sundays to make food for the week. That way you'll save money on eating out. One day at a time. Small battles day to day. If you put together a simple plan and you follow it, you'll be amazed at the progress that you can make. That's it, guys. That's all I have for you. 30 minutes. I promised I would be 30 minutes, and I am a little bit under 30 minutes. If you have any questions that you want me to answer, please feel free to post it in the comments. I'll be more than happy to do sessions on specific things. Next week is a holiday week, so we'll skip next week, but the following week I'll come back and we'll talk a little bit more about some savings strategies. We'll talk a little bit about how money works in terms of investing. We'll do another session on investing, and then we'll continue down this road together, guys, until we are all on the path to financial freedom. Listen, the Agape Love Network is here to make sure every member in our group has access to these types of sessions and workshops. We will be putting on a lot more as we go forward in terms of relationship building, in terms of building up yourself, in terms of understanding how money works, understanding how to save, how to invest, how to retire. We'll talk about life insurance and how it really works. We really want to make sure that we provide you with the things that you can use. But guys, you got to do it. You got to do the work in order for it to happen. So you can definitely do it. Make sure you just take it one day at a time. Put a financial plan together. Like I said, if you need help, I am here for you. Just, put a little note in the comment, or you can inbox me and I'll be more than happy to help you put together a financial game plan, or look at what you've done and say, hey, good job. Let's see if we can't button up here or there. But we're all here for each other. We're all here to help. We're here to help you out. So thanks so much for joining me, guys. It's been great. I love doing this, and I look forward to talking to you some more. Be on the lookout for more Girl Meets Guy. That's coming up on Friday. We'll have our next Girl Meets Guy video posted out, and then on next week, Tuesday. So I look forward to talking to you guys again soon. I am Keisha Natalie Cole, aka K Talking Sense, where today we're talking about money sense. Take care, guys.